Today we celebrate the feast of Saints Philip and James, two apostles. And our gospel reading comes from the Gospel of St. John. And it's the context is Jesus is preparing his disciples for when he will be taken away at the Last Supper. And he says, I'm going to my Father's house. And he continues. And at first, Thomas is the one who has these questions. And then Philip. And the disciples, these apostles, are not in their greatest light. This is not their strongest moment ever. And I think there are a couple things that I want to just really hit on. The first is Jesus, he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Whoever sees me sees the Father. And then Philip says, just please, Jesus, show us the Father. That'll be enough for us. And Jesus comes with one of the most important questions, and Jesus's questions to the disciples are always going to be something that speak to us too. He says, have I been with you for so long a time that you still do not know me, Philip? Philip he was one of the first disciples called, and he still does not recognize who Jesus is. I think if Jesus were to ask each and every one of us that question, how is it that we recognize Jesus? How is it that we don't recognize his presence? These are profound questions. How is it that we recognize the presence of Jesus, and how is it that we don't? I've been with you for all this time, and still you do not recognize me. And it's a challenge to everybody. Sometimes Jesus comes in very difficult disguises, in people who are not like us, in people who ask for our help when we are not ready to give it, for people who ask to be reconciled or do not ask to be reconciled. Jesus is in each and every one of us. And sometimes we don't wish to see his presence. I have been with you all this time, and still you do not recognize me. But Jesus doesn't stop there. In every occasion in the Gospel of St. John, Jesus, when he confronts people, it is in a long and beautiful conversation. And then Jesus will explain how he can be found. And he takes a long time with the woman at the well, this Samaritan woman, with Martha and Mary after Jesus comes to raise their brother, and he has been in the tomb and they know that he's dead. He takes his time with his disciples and the apostles to draw from them this expression of faith. It is a patient Jesus, it is a loving Jesus, but a determined Jesus. He's not going to let the apostles and the disciples stay where they are. He is going to draw them to a deeper faith, and he does so with us. We recognize the presence of Jesus sometimes in the easy ways, but not in the challenges. Jesus offers us his grace and his blessing that we can see him even in the areas where we don't recognize him or perhaps don't want to see him. On this feast of Philip and James, we recognize their heroism in being apostles, in laying down their lives for the faith, and most of all, for being persevering in faith. May Jesus help each and every one of us to recognize his many presences, even in sometimes the troubling ways that he presents himself to each and every one of us.